Right, the road is dry here, let's go for it. Gear change feels like it's... Felt like when I changed down it wasn't right, and now it's not doing anything. Okay, we'll have to nurse it back. I hope I haven't done anything to it, but you can see what I was doing. I was doing a hard pull, but I didn't particularly slam it. I'm a bit worried now though, because it really doesn't feel like it wants to go into gear. Don't tell me I've broken it. Hello everybody, welcome to number 27. I'm Jack and this is a Clio V6 and I am out testing it in a really horrible rainy day, which is not the ideal circumstances because, as you might have heard, these cars have a really fearsome reputation. In actual fact, the Clio, the Phase 1, was so bad, the V6, that the car had to be completely redesigned for the Phase 2. And we'll talk about that a little bit more further on in the video. But one of the things to note is that although these cars have such a fearsome reputation for not being very good handlers, they are actually cult cars and they command quite a high premium now in terms of value. So to get like an okay, I guess, Phase 1, you're looking at 40 grand, and good Phase 2 cars go for about 60, 65. So why is it that a car with such a bad reputation still commands those sorts of prices? So initially it sounded like this was going to be literally a young man's wet dream, these cars, because it was going to be a Clio. Not only was it going to have a V6 in it, but it was going to have it mid-engined. The car was really going to be completely re-engineered, you know, in a way that only the French seem to be able to get away with. The first car was engineered and built by Tom Walkinshaw Racing, by TWR. And expectations were at fever pitch, yet when it was released, the reviews were at best mixed. So one of the first things that sort of grabs your attention about these is that they were 300 kilos heavier than the normal hatch. So the V6 engine, which came from the Laguna, was a PSA, weirdly, a Peugeot engine. That produced 225 horsepower, I think 230 horsepower. But the extra performance was blunted by that weight. So really, in terms of straight line speed, it was a little bit quicker than the standard sort of 172, but not massively so. So that was the first thing. But more importantly, the whole thing about having a mid-engined hatch re-engineered like this by TWR was that it was going to handle incredibly, right? Well, absolutely not. It was so bad that one autocar reviewer famously said that the Clio V6 was at its absolute best when parked. And also, he described the handling as grip, 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 no grip. So they were infamous because without absolutely any warning, they just used to absolutely let go. Now, I drove one many, many years ago, and it was only a short journey. I didn't really have the chance to really get a feel for the car, but even then it did scare me a little bit, that car. It just, even just the feeling from driving it at sort of brisk speeds, it was, you know, it felt like it wanted to kill you. Now that is really bizarre because Renault Sport could do no wrong up until that stage. The 172s were amazing. Every car Renault had made before then was just, you know, it was brilliant. So I guess the input from DWR, maybe because it was supposed to be a semi-race car, is what made it like that. But the upshot is that after just 2 years, the Clio was completely redesigned. And we're not just talking about here, well, they used different sort of spring and damper rates. No, the suspension was completely different, had different pickup points. The wheelbase was lengthened, different springs, different dampers. I mean, the car was completely re-engineered. And as a result, the Phase 2 came out. Now, this was much, much better received because it definitely felt like it was a little bit friendlier, like it would give you a bit more warning on what it was about to do. The longer wheelbase definitely helped. And it had 25 extra horsepower, and revised gearing as well. But to be honest, that was blunted by the extra weight. So the first Phase 1 was 300 kilos heavier. The Phase 2 was 375 kilos heavier than a normal Clio. We do have to talk about the looks as well in this car though, because it must be one of the most purposeful, most sort of aggressive, squat looking things that, you know, that certainly that I've ever seen. They are just absolutely amazing looking. I don't know, there aren't many things that command quite as much attention. I've got to do a little turn and then we'll do a bit of an acceleration through the gears and talk about the engine. I've got to be quite careful because Luke, who owns this car, said the front bumper is unobtainium and does, help if I put it in reverse, and does ground out. So also the steering lock is terrible. Oh, keep on doing reverse in the wrong place. Okay. But yeah, they look absolutely fabulous. I prefer the way the Phase 2, the facelift version, looks to the Phase 1, but either way, they are just incredible things, these. Just a short pull on full throttle because of the state of the roads, I'm sure you'll understand. I did drive this earlier when they were dry, so I have a bit more of a feel of what it does. The engine sounds brilliant, and it just has that sort of hard mechanical edge that you only seem to be able to get in race cars. And I mean, this is just, it's a lovely thing. It just, if it was for the engine alone, you would buy this car. I know it's not a particularly special engine, but I guess because of where it's placed, what you can hear, plus this particular car does have like an upgraded exhaust as well and a few other bits. But they do, I drove the Phase 1 as well, they sound incredible. And Luke has put here this sort of bulkhead, which is not normally there, that's an aftermarket thing, and it just takes away some of the mechanical chatter. Now you get in these and you can immediately feel like it's special. They didn't come with these Recaros as standard, but the press car did, weirdly. And these are trend lines. I had them on my 964. So the moment you sit into this particular car, you don't get that usual French thing where you get into a nice squidgy seat like the 172 seats it normally came with. And that actually helps, because I think it helps give you a little bit more feel, keeps you a little bit better sort of strapped down in the car. It also has KW V3s, so it's a little bit stiffer than normal, and a lightweight flywheel. So these are often criticised because of the weight for not actually feeling as quick as you thought they would do. And I think the Phase 1 I drove, certainly that was true. This definitely feels like it's got a little bit more edge to it. Could be the flywheel, could be that they loosen up with time. Luke was telling me that these really do get a lot looser with time. Now, I just pulled over there because of traffic. That engine just sounds so good. I'd say it's a pretty quick thing. You know, my 964 before had 250 horsepower and about the same sort of weight, maybe a bit lighter, and it felt about the same as this. Gear change is really nice and short. Now the steering, there is something, I like the way it steers, but there's something a little bit that I can't quite put my finger on. It's almost as if you sort of tip it into the corner and it wants to carry on steering. So it's, you get used to it though, and because I've driven it before, it's already, I'm not really picking up on it as much already, but it is a really, really fun thing, and I'm just going to go and try and find a nice straight bit of road so we can do a pull through the gears, because I just love the way it sounds. But these are actually, so this is a dry bit of road now, so it is actually really good fun, and definitely not as intimidating as the Phase 1, and I think a sort of car that you can definitely enjoy on nice windy roads. The bumps, maybe because of the short wheelbase, they make it feel a little bit flighty, but on the whole, oh, it's great. The brakes feel powerful. Obviously haven't really exercised them very much, but yeah, I really like it. I really, really like it. I think it's flawed, and you can kind of feel that the handling is, although it's definitely better on this car, it still feels slightly flighty. I think it's a car that you have to respect. All right, the road is dry here. Let's go for it. Gear change feels like it's... Felt like when I changed down it wasn't right, and now it's not doing anything. Feels like a linkage has maybe come off. Oh, now it's gone in. That's really weird. Let's try again. Yeah, no, that is not... Something's not happy with the gear change. Or the clutch. I didn't do anything. Okay, we'll have to nurse it back. I hope I haven't done anything to it, but you can see what I was doing. I was doing a hard pull, but I didn't particularly slam it. I'm a bit worried now though, because it really doesn't feel like it wants to go into gear. Don't tell me I've broken it. It's doing something really weird with the gears. So I couldn't get it into gear. Now, the biggest nightmare when I do these road tests is that something happens to the car. Something has happened. I'm sure it's not me, but all the same, I feel a little bit responsible. But I've taken it out with the owner. Luke was driving it, and there is something going on with the gear change. It mostly seems to work, but especially if you rush it, or sometimes it just doesn't want to change gear. So I'm going to have to cut this test short, unfortunately, but I just wanted to tell you another couple of things. I'm going to try and just keep it in gear for this very last bit. And that is that the reputation that these had as a widowmaker is partly what makes them so desirable, I think. But with this, with the Phase 2, that reputation, I don't even think it's really particularly deserved. I think the fact that they completely re-engineered it makes for a really, really great handling little car. Now, obviously, I haven't got it up to completely to its limits, but just pushing on a bit, and it feels nice, agile. The steering I've completely got used to now. There was something a little bit odd about it, but it's actually, once it digs in, you kind of get quite a nice sort of, it's quite neutral, I really do. It is very nice, loads of grip as well. So, shame that the test has to be cut short this time, but I really do love this. I think it's a linkage or something is going on with the gear change. It has to be that, or possibly the clutch master cylinder, something along those lines. Well, thank you very much, Luke, and I'm sorry I broke your car, but I really do like these, and I have a newfound sort of affection and respect for them, because the Phase 1 that I originally drove really did set me a little bit on edge all those years ago, and I think that this has kind of got it back for the Clio, for the V6s. And thank you all so much for watching. If you have an unusual car that you want me to do something on, please do let me know. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you for the next video. Sorry, I'm a bit flummoxed because it's never happened before that something has broken while I've been driving it. So it's just, yeah, it's upset the balance a little bit. See you all very soon. Hi everybody, well I've just heard from Luke and it turns out that it was the friction plate which was at fault. Now what happens is you can't get the original friction plate for these anymore, so you have to recondition and recover the original friction plate. They are known to fail, so it's really reassuring I guess to know what was going on. Luke's fine with it. He'd only replaced the clutch a couple of thousand miles ago, so obviously it was a defective plate. I'm hoping to get this car back and maybe do a comparison with a 172. So keep your eyes peeled. Thank you so much for watching and really look forward to seeing you for the next video.